Hi everybody. Good morning, welcome back. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living. We're going to just pause here for a second to allow the Facebook Live to kick in and for our friends to find us. How are you? We're so glad you're with us. I'm going to find it myself. Most of our videos have me starting looking at my phone. So here we are again, looking at my phone. Happy Sunday. And I'm going to welcome our artistic director, John Foltz, on over. Good morning, John.
Hi.
How are you today?
I'm well.
Yeah, it's nice to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too.
Good to be back.
Yeah.
Ready for a Sunday?
Sure.
You know?
Sure. Sunday morning.
Well, I have to say, I just have to admit that this is one of those days, because it's been a little bit of a challenging week, and I feel like we need to acknowledge that. But this is one of those days where I would just want to get to church. You know, there's sometimes when we're faced with challenges out in the world, and obviously there's a big one going on right now that we're in the midst of, and I just really want to get to church. There's something about being in the building together that just brings peace that washes over me. And so I woke up today raring to go to church, and then I remembered in that instant, oh, we're not going to church. It's in my living room. So what I'm so happy about, though, is that we create this receptacle, we create this connection. And so even though we're still looking at a camera, the feeling is there. And so I want us to think today about coming together in consciousness as the heart of Center for Spiritual Living, Temecula Valley, so that we can find some comfort and some peace together, and start to process a little bit about what's going on out in the world, and hopefully feel better at the end of this. I think that's possible. That
generally happens on Sundays.
I think so. I also want to welcome anyone who's finding us for the first time on Facebook Live. Here we are in the middle of quarantine, coming to you live from my living room. And we are Center for Spiritual Living Temecula Valley is an intentional, inclusive, radically inclusive, welcoming, affirming spiritual community. And we know that we are all part of this oneness of being. We are all part of that divine God, and as such, each of us is a divine gift unto the world in our own unique ways. And so it's in that love and appreciation and acknowledgement that we welcome you with us today. And so we've put together a service.
Yeah.
And we're ready to get going.
We are.
Yeah, good.
We are. We are one. We are one. I am you, you are me. We are one. And in this unity, we all live in harmony, and peace has come, for we are one, and peace has come, for we are one.
And yes, we are one. One in the infinite life expressing itself that is God in action. One part of this humanity, this love, this light, this truth that is the foundation of all things, is part of each and every one of us. And I know that that love reveals itself from the center of our being on this day. And as we each open and allow that love to flow forth and express itself in our lives and in the world. And so I know that this service is an expression of this love, of this connection, of this unity of being, of God in action. to bring comfort and peace, inspiration, connection, and yes, love. And so just holding that and blessing all that unfolds on this day. I bless each and every person who is tuning in, stepping forth in consciousness to connect with this spiritual community. And I bless all that unfolds here, knowing that it is coming from that oneness and from that presence of love. And so with a grateful heart, I allow it to be and step forth in love. And so it is. Amen. Hi.
Hi.
So, any new quarantine things that you've been up to?
No, not really. No, I'm sure there are.
Yeah.
But I'm
No closet. Are you cleaning out closets?
I'm quarantined out. So we've rearranged a couple of our rooms.
Oh, you did that, yeah.
Yeah, to put move furniture around,
Yeah.
hung pictures in new spots.
Yeah.
There's been probably more cleaning going on than normal.
I painted this week. I painted cabinets.
Yes.
And
I saw those.
Yeah, I showed John my cabinets.
Yes.
I'm not going to be able to. I'll post them when they're done. But my big thing this week, I actually joined the sourdough club.
The sourdough club.
Everybody's making bread.
It's seriously everybody.
Everybody I know is making bread.
It's like all I see on Facebook anymore. Everybody in the world is making bread.
Yeah.
That's what they're.
And so I shared you my recipe for the other bread that I make, but I decided to try the sourdough thing this weekend. So moderately successful the first time. I'm going to try my second round today.
All right.
Yeah. So
cool.
So we'll see as this thing
save
continues.
a piece for me. I'll try it next week.
Yeah, I'll have some sourdough for you for in the morning next week. But anyway, so in that, but I think you've got something for us. You've got a chant for us, right?
I do. Yes. I send my love. It's Karen Drucker. I'm pretty sure it's Karen.
I believe it's Karen Drucker.
99% sure. Yeah. It is. I'm almost 100% sure. I hope so, because that's what I asked Tina to put on the feed. I send my love over the mountains. I send my love over the sea. I send my love into the heavens, and it returns to me. Let's do that again. I send my love over the mountain. I send my love over the sea. I send my love into the heavens, and it returns to me. I send my peace. I send my peace over the mountain. I send my peace over the sea. I send my peace into the heavens, and it returns to me. I send my joy. I send my joy over the mountains. I send my joy over the sea. I send my joy into the heavens, and it returns to me. I send my love. I send my love over the mountain.
when all of my, so I have 9 nieces and nephews, or I have 8 nieces and nephews. And when they were all babies, I used to sing that to them.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and so I used to do the Into the Heavens and then go like that over their faces, and it returns to me, and they would giggle and laugh, and so it always reminds me of the sweet little babies that I used to sing it to. Anyways, so we have a reading. I have a reading for you today. This is from 365 Science of Mind by Ernest Holmes, the founder of religious science. This is from page 216. I guess I should put my things on. 216, and is that the right reading? No, it's not. From 162.
Yeah. It's the same numbers in it, just in a different
Yeah,
order.
just different. Oh yeah, yeah, there you go.
262.
Oh yeah, hi. Check
Hey.
that out. Wow. Okay, we're getting punchy already. All right. So, so it's for the day. It's the reading for May 31st. It starts with scripture from Psalm 91:2. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress. My God, in Him will I trust. And so I just want you to just close your eyes and take a breath and just open to receiving these words on peace today. At the center of my being is peace. That peace that is felt in the coolness of early evening after workers have turned from their labor and the first star shines in the soft light of a translucent sky. There is a freshness, a vitality, a power underlying this peace. It broods over the earth quietly, tenderly, as a mother watches over her sleeping baby. In this peace that holds me so gently, I feel strength and a protection from all fear, all anxieties. It is the peace of God, and underneath it all, I feel the love of the Holy Presence. As I become more conscious of this love, all lack, all fear, all that is false slips away as mists fade in the morning sunshine. I am one with deep, abiding peace. I know that all is well. I know that as I permit this peace to flow through my being, through my mind and heart, every problem is released. The way is made clear before me, and it is filled with joy and harmony. I am peace. I am love. I am power. I am vitality and strength and all good. Where I am, there is peace. And so just taking a breath and centering in this moment, I want us to realize that there is a place of peace at the center of our being no matter what. That there is a place of calm, a refuge, a safe, sacred space. And as we put our attention upon it, it expands within our consciousness, within our bodies, within our lives. And all of the gifts of God reveal themselves from this connection. And so as we touch upon the peace within, life opens and the way is made straight before us. And in that all is well. And so deep breath, coming on back. I think you got a song for us.
I do.
I do, so I'm going to let you have at it. Have some fun there.
So this actually is one that I think it was the very first week we were doing this whole dealio in your living room. I did this song. And Rev Katherine requested it again this week. With all that's been going on, feels particularly appropriate to talk about peace spreading over the land. So this is called I Dreamed of Rain. I dreamed of rain, and the rains came, soft and easy, sweet and clear. I dreamed of rain, and the rains came, and peace spread over the land. I dreamed of summer, and the winds changed, and the green was easy, and the rivers ran clear. dreamed of summer and the winds changed and peace spread over the land, and the flowers bloom in the desert, and the air is fresh and clear. I dreamed of rain and the rains came and peace spread over the land. I dreamed of freedom and the moon rose and the way was easy and the path was clear. I dreamed of freedom and the moon rose and peace spread over the land, and the guardian stars are shining, and the night is bright and clear. I dreamed of freedom and the moon rose and peace spread over the land. I dreamed of heaven and the earth sang, and the sound was easy and the song was clear. I dreamed of heaven and the earth sang, and peace spread over the land, and the ancient pain is forgotten, and the Father's debts are clear. I dreamed of heaven and the earth sang, and peace spread over the land. I dreamed of freedom and the moon rose, and peace spread over the land. I dreamed of summer and the winds changed, and peace spread over the land. I dreamed of rain and the rains came, and peace spread over the land.
So beautiful. So
Yes,
beautiful.
wonderful song.
Well, and you do it so beautifully, John. Thank you so much. Here comes all the hearts.
I miss hearing the choir sing it, I'll say that.
I know, I love when the choir
That was
sings
one of the
that.
first ones that they ever did. Actually, I think it was, that one and one other.
Wow.
So we'll get back to that when we get back together.
Yes. We will. So I did move the camera a little bit.
Of course.
Well, you need to be in the center.
Do I?
Yes, you do. Oh my goodness. Let me know when we're ready. All right, everybody ready? Let's take a deep breath together because God knows I need it. One more time. Nice deep breath. All right, so my talk today is the peace that passes understanding. And I need to say again, this was not an easy one. This is not an easy moment in our lives. This is not an easy, it's not an easy moment. It's very challenging. And I think that here we are, as I'm speaking to you in the light of a new day, after days and days of increasingly challenging protests and that have devolved into violence and riots and all across the country. And it's been hard. It's been a rough week. Watching the anger and the frustration across the country boil over into violence has been quite upsetting. And this is a week when we've seen bad actors doing bad actions, and whether we're talking about the police, our citizens, our leaders, so many situations that have contributed to this. It reminds me of, I was making pasta the other day, and it just reminds me of that rolling boil that just comes and comes and comes and needs to express its heat because it can't hold it anymore. And I think that that's what's happening. And so watching these peaceful protests devolve into anger and violence in city after city shows how deep and painful the anguish is in the experience of so many. It's a manifestation of the culmination of years of suppressed anger and frustration at an unjust system. And it's true, we have an unjust system, and it's time for something to change. And so even though in the midst of this difficulty and this challenge, what I noticed, or what I realized was yesterday, in the midst of all of this, NASA and SpaceX launched a rocket successfully, which was quite exciting to see. And this morning it successfully docked with the space station. And as I sat and contemplated all of this before I went to bed last night, that piece of this brought some comfort to me, some sense of hope and possibility, something about reaching new heights, something about starting a new exploration, a new program, something new coming out that expands our horizons, right? Gave me a little tiny glimmer of hope. It gave me, maybe there was a reason why the first launch was scheduled for Wednesday was postponed until Saturday. Maybe because that had to happen in the midst of everything that's been happening, that we can hold all of it and see that there is a tiny speck of possibility out there. And that's what I'm holding on to today. Right in the middle of this rising tide on earth, we have a new opportunity to go and have a higher, greater perspective. And that's what I'm wanting us to do while we have our feet firmly planted on the earth, is to find a higher and new perspective, to find a new way of being. And what I'm going to talk about today is how we can start by finding that deep place of peace within, by connecting to the presence of God that's alive within us, by realizing that there is peace within us, that we can find a new way to move forward. Now, of course, we have to let this expression happen, right? When something is repressed and suppressed for so long, it has to be expressed. It has to be expressed. It can't not be expressed. And so as we witness what's happening and bear witness to the anger all around us, we are holding for that to come forward and be expressed, and then find a new way to move forward. Over the past couple of months, I've talked about how the fact that this COVID-19 pandemic is since it's a global experience, it has something for us to learn in it. Something is trying to reset itself by sending us all to our homes. There's something that's trying to come forward, and honestly, I don't know if we've gotten the message yet. But through this experience, we as a humanity are being called to a deeper understanding of something. And again, I'm going to say that at the core of it, it's the fact that we're in this together, that we can only survive together. Well, this moment of outrage and pain is the same thing. It's time for us to all wake up and to do something to make a change. Look, as a white woman, I can't stand in front of you and speak to what it's like for our black brothers and sisters to live in the midst of a system that is set up against them, that our country is not safe for them or for their children. I can't imagine what it's like to be a mother of an African American child and send them out into the world and be afraid for their safety. That is a pain and a challenge that so many have had to carry that I can't even imagine. We have all heard the list of all the horrifying and unjust killings of African Americans at the hands of police and others, most of which went without justice. But just in these past months, with Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, and this week, George Floyd, never mind the very public use of race as a weapon by a white woman who refused to put her dog on a leash in Central Park in New York City. It's heartbreaking. And we're standing in one of the most difficult moments in my lifetime. So after a lot of prayer and a couple of sleepless nights, the fact that ice is really good for eyes, I have to say, what I'm going to remind us is that we believe that there is one life, the life of God, and that we are all part of it. And so no matter what, we each have a part to play in this. And it doesn't matter your race, your color, your religion, your gender, your sexual orientation, whatever, anything. The truth is we are one, period. We are one. And we are only going to get through this together. So what I think we're being called to do is to spend some time to figure out how we have either consciously or unconsciously supported this unjust system. We cannot go back to sleep, and we cannot avoid the discomfort of this. So I will say to you, I know that there are some people who will not appreciate the fact that I'm speaking to this. There are some people who will think that this is not appropriate for church. But I need to say that the science of mind philosophy is one about living, is one that we put these principles and these practices into action in our lives. If it's not real and if it's not relevant, it's not what we're talking about. If we believe that everything comes from that divine presence of God, and that we believe that every experience is spiritual, then every single thing that happens is appropriate for us to be looking at and to be sitting with. And so this too calls all of us, because it's happening on such a grand scale, it calls all of us to a deeper place of connection and understanding. Because this, healing is being called forth in the midst of this. Healing for all of us. And so, owning our part in it. Allowing ourselves to be present to the discomfort and the pain. To bear witness to what our brothers and sisters are going through. Again, I want to remind you of the teaching of Jesus when he says, what you have done for the least of these, my brothers and sisters, you have done for me. We are in this together, and we all need to wake up to either the ways that we have allowed this to continue, or the ways that we can be called forth to help shift it. Because only when we work together, only when we stand up for the dignity and the light and the love of each of our brothers and sisters can something begin to change. And so looking at the spiritual aspect of this, I can see how we've gotten to this point. We teach in the science of mind that our experience comes from our beliefs, comes from that which we, the perspective from that which we see, right? The idea that when we see something, it expands. When we put our attention upon it, it expands. Well, we as a culture, we as a country have put our attention on some values that are no longer serving us. We have as a collective, we've allowed the values of power, of dominance and aggression to rule the day. And you know what? That's just not working anymore. Because what that's done is it has deepened the divides. And so what we're seeing out in the world today is the pent-up anger that's overflowing. The deep divides and separation that are just getting deeper. The inability for us to have a civil dialogue. And the fear and pain and challenge are all a manifestation of these values. When we allow these values to rule the day, we lose. We lose each other. We lose our way. We simply lose. But we know that there's another way. We know that when we live the life we know that is possible, things begin to shift and change. It's not easy, and it takes time, and it takes commitment, a willingness, and a commitment. But in the midst of such great change happening, we can do this. We can. It takes courage and strength. It means stepping up and holding true to your values. And I'd say we do much better and get much farther with values of caring for one another, of kindness and of respect. We need to speak out when something that deepens the divides. We need to speak out when we see something that's deepening the divides, rather than just letting it be and saying, that's not my problem. And we need to look in the mirror and see our own blind spots and be willing to hear and learn and evolve on our opinions because we care about our brothers and sisters, because we care about their experience. Because we care, we are willing to be with our own discomfort and use our energy and our consciousness to create a new way, to affirm oneness. We either believe this or we don't. We believe that we are one, we need to act like we are one and allow that to reveal itself in our experience. You know, Science of Mind is based in the teachings of Jesus. And I get a lot of questions about, where Science of Mind came from. And the truth is that our founder, Ernest Holmes, had studied all the world's religions and saw the truth that walked, that the string, the golden thread that went through all the world's religions in philosophy and science and psychology. And he created this philosophy that is a science of mind. And when he took a look at that, what he realized is that the teachings of Jesus are the foundation of all of it. And so we follow those teachings of Jesus. And what Jesus taught us was this. He taught us to put God first. And so if we are going to put God first in our lives, it means that there is only one power and one presence, and that we are all part of it, and that is who we are. That is who everyone is. And we need to act accordingly. He taught us to love our neighbor and our enemy. That perceived enemy, that person that we think is against us, we need to love them. Not just tolerate, not just put up with. He taught us that we need to love them. He taught us to welcome the stranger and care for the less fortunate and speak for those who without a voice. And most of all, he taught us to forgive freely. Jesus' teachings were about love. Jesus didn't teach us about dominance or power. He taught us about love. And the way that we can unite humanity, and the way that we can live God's life, and the way that we can honor God and honor Jesus is to love freely and fully. Science of Mind affirms this because we know that we're all one. We know that we're all part of this life. Each and every one of us, no matter what, no matter the color, the opinion, the political party, we are one. And peace is possible. Though Ernest Holmes reminds us in the Science of Mind, he says this, that we can't say peace when there is no peace. He goes on to say this, the saying of peace will not produce peace unless back of the word is a realization of the meaning of peace. So in all the simplicity of our own language, we try to convince ourselves of the reality of that for which we are treating, knowing that in such a degree as we have an embodiment of this idea, it is thrown into a mechanical field and must operate. Man already has within himself the key to freedom, but he must come to realize his relationship to the whole. This relationship is one of complete unity. So in these days when so much is happening all around us on multiple fronts, how do we maintain peace when we look into the world and see nothing like peace? We need to find it within. We need to go back to the beginning, to the foundation, and do what we can do with what we have. You know, I've always been inspired, and I've always loved the quote that I learned from the Methodists. Do all the good you can, by all the means you can, in all the ways you can, in all the places you can, at all the times you can, for all the people you can, as long as you ever can. And so if you ever wanted to know something personal about me, that's one of my motivational quotes. To do as much good as I can do. And I invite us to realize that that's why we're here. We are each unique expressions of God to share our love and to give our gifts and to do as much good as we can in this lifetime to make this world a better place than we found it. We can do better. And we're going to be able to do better when we deepen our understanding that this is a spiritual moment and that we are supported by spiritual forces. And when we move forward in that, then things open and things start to change and shift. What I take from this is this. What do I really believe? And how can I put it into action in my life? And that's the question I'm going to give you this week. What do you really believe about your life, about why you're here, and about God? And how can you put that into action in a deeper way in your life? The first step is finding peace. It's even in the midst of the noise of the world, we must remember that something bigger is being revealed here. That we are in process. This isn't a stagnant moment that's going to be forever. This is the birth. This is the coming forward. This is the expression of a new way. Here we are faced with two enormous experiences that we are holding onto and we are trying to make sense of. And you know what? We can't make sense of all of this. But we can witness and we can feel and we can honor those who are suffering. So the first step is to find that place of peace within, is to find that connection to that divine wisdom. We have to be clear about our priorities and our values and integrate them into our daily living. We can no longer allow fear and worries of being judged as a radical or falsely labeled political because we stand for rights and for the rights and the well-being of all people to hold us back. This is not a political statement. This is not a political talk. This is an issue of our humanity, and it's an issue of our survival together. If we think this is political, then we're doing a spiritual bypass and avoiding our own blind spots. If we start blaming those people who show up and these people who do this and that people who do that, then what we're showing is that we don't believe that God is in all as all. We're showing that we have a place of separation somewhere within our own consciousness. And this is uncomfortable and it's not easy. It's not easy for me to say. It's not easy for us to look at. But we must. We have to. If we can be present with that sense of separation within, we can start to find a new way outside of connection and support. We also must be willing to be with and explore those uncomfortable places where we've either subconsciously or semi-consciously allowed the institutional constructs of separation and racism to continue and be perpetuated. Now we do this with self-compassion and forgiveness, with a willingness to awaken and be better. We love our brothers and sisters. We want them to have full, fulfilling lives. And so, I don't know about you, but I am willing to sit with those places where I feel uncomfortable in this to find a new way forward, to find a deeper connection to the truth and allow those places of limitation to fall away. What's being called forth in all the situations we're faced with right now is creative solutions. We need creative solutions and forward thinking. We need leadership that's going to bring forth new ways, new ideas, new concepts. And you know what the challenge with that, the truth is that creativity brings healing. Creativity supports us in moving forward. Creativity is, once everything calms down, once we find everything kind of coming back and starting to calm down, those are the moments for the creative ideas to come forth. The problem is that creativity channels are shut down with fear, with anger, with worry, in moments of high stress. It's a physiological experience. Spikes in stress hormones like cortisol, counteract our creativity boosting effects of serotonin. Plus, stressed out and judgmental people tend to be closed off to new ideas. The idea here is to move into that place of expansiveness, of connection, of peace, and of love, so that we can open the channels of creativity to bring forth a new way, so we can see differently and we can allow something new to come forward. So again, that brings me back to the concept of the peace that passes understanding. It's not my peace. It's not your peace. We're not going to be able to find peace except if we connect to the divine presence, because this is God's peace. This is the divine peace that we tap into. Through our spiritual practices, our meditation, our prayer, our sacred study, and my new spiritual practice that I need to say is turning off the social media, turning off the television, turning it off. When we can do that, when we can allow ourselves to find perspective from within, we'll find a new way of connecting. We need to unplug from the din of the world. And now, I'm not suggesting that we stick our heads in the sand and pretend it's not happening. But let's face it, we can get the clear picture of what's going on in probably 10% of the time that we've been engaging in this loud screaming match that is called social media or the news. We could find out what we need to find out and then take that information and connect to life itself, to the power and the presence of God. And when we do this, we open the door to divine peace, the divine perspective, and encourage our creative faculties to strengthen and reveal a new way. Again, we don't claim peace when there is no peace, but we know that peace exists, and it's a process of working through the blocks that are keeping us from experiencing it. If we can begin to heal the parts of ourselves that feel separated, that feel disenfranchised, if we can heal our old wounds and our hurts that we carry, we can begin to have compassion for others who are trying to do the same and hold a space for healing in increasingly larger circles. This is the time to do this work. We need to do it, and nothing will truly change until we come together in this sacred purpose. Again, Ernest Holmes said, God manifests himself through all individuals. No two people are alike, and each has a unique place in the universe of mind. Each lives in mind. Each contacts God through his own mind. Whoever becomes receptive to the idea of peace, poise, and calm, whoever embodies these divine realities, finds them flowing through him, and he becomes peaceful, poised, and calm. I'll remind us this week that the ideals that our country has been founded on are powerful ideals and values for us to hold. The 5 ideals that our country was founded on is democracy, rights, liberty, opportunity, and equality for all men and women. We are each being called to come together and be unified in our work toward manifesting these ideals in the lives of all Americans, and I believe all people everywhere. And so I invite you to join me in knowing that peace is possible. And I invite you to join me in working toward making this possible in our lifetime. My heart and my prayers are with everyone who is hurting across the country. My heart and my prayers are for a new way forward, that we can see what has been broken about this system and how we can fix it. This is nothing new, and this is not just about one incident. This is something that has been coming for a long time, and we cannot avoid it, and we cannot avoid finding a new way forward. But as we know, we start within our own consciousness. We start within our own understanding to heal this, and then take that truth, that healing, out into the world. It's about doing our own work so that we can hold the space and step out and act for everyone who is less fortunate than us. What you do to the least of these, my brothers and sisters, you do for me. Let us, in that presence of the Christ consciousness, in that understanding of God, be willing to step up to a new place of knowing so that it can be better for all of us, which I know is possible. This is God in action. We are birthing a new moment in time. And so bearing witness to the pain and the difficulty may be challenging and difficult and painful, but we have to bear witness to it, to allow for what wants to be born to come forward. And we begin with ourselves. And so I'm going to end today with another spiritual practice. And this is the Hawaiian practice of reconciliation and forgiveness that's called Ho'oponopono. So I'm going to invite John to come on over. He's going to play for me in this one. And so this is a series of affirmations that we're going to do just to allow ourselves to find that place of peace and forgiveness within. And so whether you have, awakened to the fact that we all have a part to play in this or not, truth is we do. And we can come together in consciousness to allow ourselves to move forward. But first we have to take responsibility for the part we've played, either actively or passively, and ask for forgiveness. So I'm going to invite you to just take a breath and close your eyes. And it's a series of 4 statements, and we're going to say them a couple of times. I want you to just say this silently to yourself. These are the statements. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. Again, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the part that I've played in this. I'm sorry for the pain that you've had to go through. I'm sorry that the system is set up this way. Whatever it is that we're sorry for, let us express our I'm sorry. Asking for forgiveness, taking responsibility. Please forgive me for the part I've played in this. Please forgive me for the ways that I've let this happen, or I've been asleep, or please forgive me for me not doing more or saying more or standing up in a way that would be supportive. Please forgive me. Thank you. Thank you for being willing to work together to make it better for all of us. Thank you for being willing to allow healing to happen. And I love you. In the oneness of life, we're connected. And I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And so from this place of connection, I remember that there's an infinite power and presence that I call God. That spirit of life that reveals itself, that has created all things, that is infused in all things, and ever expresses itself in every moment in every way. God is the power of love. It is the peace and harmony, that light of inspiration, of creativity, of new ideas, of new ways. God is healing in action, and I simply know it is the truth of my being, as it is the truth of each and every one of us. And that we come together from across the miles on this day to unite and to know the truth, that there truly is only one. And each of us is inspired to step forward, to hold the space of love and of acceptance, of freedom and of joy for all of our brothers and sisters, no matter what color, no matter what gender, no matter what. We are all one in this life. And I simply know God guiding, supporting, and inspiring us forward. As each of us connects to that divine truth within us, I know God alive as that powerful presence of peace, as that powerful presence of love, as that powerful presence that guides, supports, and loves us forward. And I claim that and I call it forth, and so I claim peace. Not because I want to see it, not because I'm wishing of it, but because I am embodying it, because I know God is peace and God is me. And as I know this for myself, I know this for all of us, that powerful presence of peace opens us to allowing this new experience to come forward. And so I call it forth and I claim it for each and every one of us and for all life everywhere. And so for those who are hurting and for those who are expressing their rage and their anger, may they be surrounded by that presence of peace to release what needs to be released, to express what needs to be expressed, to allow the space for the healing to rise, that new energy, that new fresh understanding to come forth within all of us. And in this we usher in a new way and a new day. Not pretending what has been hasn't happened, not trying to bypass it, not trying to imagine that it's not there, but by acknowledging what has been and knowing that a new day is dawning and that we can step forward together in a new way to create a system that is just, that is supportive, and allow the truth of God as freedom to be experienced by all people everywhere. I call it forth and I claim it. I know it. And I give thanks for it. Surrendering my word, I allow it to be. And so it is.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Ooh. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for. No religion too. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. Brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not day will join us, and the world will be as one.
Oh, there you go. Too short of a song, John. Okay. Perfect choice. Thank you.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to do it. It was a great talk. I mean, it was the perfect one, right?
Yes. Okay.
And breathing.
And breathing. Breathing is good. All right. So I'll get myself back together probably in an hour or so. But all right. Okay, everybody. Deep breath together. All right, so this is the time of our service when I'm going to remind you that we are so grateful for your financial support. And just as so much in this world in this moment is constricting because of everything that's going on, so has the giving been constricting a little bit. And so we just want to thank everyone who is continuing to lean in and support this vision of a place for all with your financial gifts. We have set our intentions on upgrading our technology, and partially because we are going to continue to be live streaming even when we are able to be back in person. Now, and which I'll address in a couple of minutes, but there's a couple of things going on that we're still paying for our lease and our rent and our building. There's been no support in that, but we are still responsible for all of our monthly bills, and so we are so grateful for your ongoing support and leaning into the point that you can. So again, I want to remind you, you could call the office. Diane is there waiting, and I want to say thank you and send some love to our administrator, Diane. I want to say thank you and send some love to our online host, Tina, and she's going to put up, you could click over to our website. There's a donate button on our website. Or you could do a snail mail donation, which a lot of people are doing, and I love, I go and get our mail when I'm in the office the couple days that I'm there in the week, and we're so grateful that our community, even though we cannot be together in person, is still leaning in and together in consciousness. So I just want to remind you of that, and if you're wanting to make it easy on yourself, sign up for our auto tithe program. Give Diane a call at the office, and you could just get set up on auto tithe, and you don't even have to think about it or worry about it when it comes to this moment of making a choice of how you're going to give your gift. So again, I do it through my phone. So I'm going to hold my phone and give thanks for this divine abundance, and knowing that it moves forward to support this vision of a world that works for everybody, of creating a space and a place that is radically inclusive and encompassing all people, knowing that we walk together in this life. And so I bless this offering and I bless this gift, knowing that it goes forth to support this vision, this mission, this opportunity of creating something beautiful together. And so with a grateful heart, I allow it to be. And so it is. Amen. So together, ready? Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am prosperous now.
Blessed always, for the arms of God surround us. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say, Amen. Blessed always, for the arms of God surround us. Let our joy be so triumphant trust in God and say Amen.
Thank you. And so can we give a little bit more love to John Foltz, our artistic director, showing up every week, being our soloist every week. He's doing extra work for us, and we're so grateful to have him.
I'm still waiting for that duet with you.
Yeah, right. No, you're not.
Not really. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. But thank you. Well, and you're showing up every week too.
I know, but
I know you live here, but you're still showing up.
The commute is killing me. I have to tell you, the commute is
probably
killing
the worst
me.
one you'll ever have. It's probably the longest you've ever felt the walk to the living room.
Yeah,
also.
exactly. It's a very
possible,
long walk to the living room, but I have to say the break room's pretty good.
The break room's
The break
pretty
room's pretty good.
The
coffee.
The coffee.
Oh, we were joking this morning about, we need to say, I think we should send out a thank you to my beloved husband, Steve Butterworth. We are calling him our hospitality king now.
Yes.
So he makes John coffee. He makes us both coffee.
Yes.
He makes me breakfast. So we're so grateful for our own hospitality. He's going to kill me for that one. Sorry, honey. All right, so moving into some announcements here. I want to let you know that our book study has finished their book. They've completed The Power of Kindness. They're going to take a week off this week, and they're figuring out what book's going to start, and it's going to start again on June 10th. So if you are interested in stepping in, it's Wednesdays from 10 to noon. 10 a.m. to noon on Zoom. And so if you're interested in participating in that, I invite you to talk to Pam Migliosi. Our Spiritual Connection at 7 series is continuing. We're going to continue that. 7 a.m., 7 p.m., one of the ministerial team is leading a 20-minute meditation. And my Wednesday nights, we've been doing a check-in. And I have to tell you, it's been sweet to have some time to just chat and ask any questions that come up. But we are each sharing about what it's like to do this. I have this idea that we're, again, you've heard me say it a lot today, that we are in this together. And so whatever's going on, it's a really great place to come and find perspective and to support each other. And so I invite you to join us. That's our Wednesday night at 7 p.m. But our spiritual connections at 7 happen Monday through Friday, 7 a.m., 7 p.m. And we encourage you, especially in this time of unrest, to find a place to center in and just reconnect. And so, again, I invite you to join us for that. Our men's ministry's been meeting on Wednesday mornings at 9 o'clock with Reverend Michael. And that's again on Zoom. And our Sisters in Spirit are having a weekly breakfast on Thursday. Again, that's Pam Migliosi. So, yeah, I think that's what I got. And our teen group's been meeting at 11 o'clock on Sundays by Zoom also. So if you have a teen in your life that could use a little spiritual support, the thing that we love about our teen group right now is that our teens are kind of spread out all over. And even Lydia from Mexico City, from Mexico, she's not in Mexico City, but in Mexico, she's Zooming in too. So we've got all of our teens coming together online, and it's pretty cool. It's been a really sweet spot for them. So if you have someone in your life, a teen in your life that could use some spiritual support, I invite you to contact Ted Blake or myself, and I can put you in touch with them. So I think we're good. I think we're going to do some prayer. And anything? Am I missing anything? I don't think I'm missing anything.
I don't think you're missing.
Okay.
No, there's not.
Okay.
You're not.
You were going to say something.
I was going to say something. Well, it's not something you're missing. I had a thought.
Yep.
That you might have been thinking anyway about the whole Ho'oponopono, and also the Methodist mantra that you had. Maybe post those.
I'll post them
because those were great.
I'll post them. I'll post them.
I particularly like the little mantra, the Methodist.
The Methodist, do as much as you can.
I don't remember it off the top of my head, but that was great.
Yeah, good. Yeah, that's.
Pay attention.
That is. You pay attention. Wow.
I do pay attention. I'm the only one here. I better. I mean. Yeah,
okay. Yeah. All right, so let's come together in consciousness here, feeling like we're prayed up, but we're going to pray again, because that's what we do well. Knowing that there is this powerful presence that has created all of life and created each and every one of us that I call God, that spirit of life that moves and breathes itself into being in all as all. And I know that in this moment that we each, as part of this, lean on it, connect to it, and allow its guidance and its wisdom, its infinite perspective, its infinite love to fill us and support us and to guide us forward. And so I know that we find that place of peace. And so we don't say peace when there is no peace. We feel peace from within and allow it to come forward. We bear witness to what's happening in the world, realizing that it is an unfolding happening here, and something is trying to be born out of it, and allowing ourselves to be the midwives to this new way. Let us midwife this new world order. Let us midwife this equality and this justice, this peace, this harmony. Let us truly imagine. And as we see it within, from the presence, we can begin to see it out in the world. And so I speak my word on this day for each and every one of us, calling forth that presence of peace, calling forth that inspiration, calling forth that harmony and that knowing, that love and that light. And knowing that we are not alone, that we are connected and supported, for we are one human family. And so in love and in light, I simply give thanks, surrendering my word and allowing it to be. And so it is. Amen.
There was a time in my life thought I had to do it all myself. Didn't know the grace of God was sufficient, and didn't know the love of God was at hand. Now I can say that if you are discouraged, struggling just to make it through another day, you got to let it go, let it all go. And this is what you have to say: I release, and I let go, let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in spirit. Yes, I'm only for God. I release and I let go. Let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in spirit. Yes, I'm only for God.
And in that, I know as we step forward in this week, we connect to that peace that passeth understanding, and we hold the space for peace for all. And so it is. Amen.
So it is.
I love you.
Well,
I'm praying for you, for us all. Have a good week. We'll see you soon.